Hey cool cats, it's been a while. Today I want to talk to you about focal length, different lenses, f-stop, but mainly focal length. So I'm going to show you what something looks like when we're shot on one lens versus another lens and explain why they might look different and also why you might choose another focal length or aperture over a different lens. So right now, I'm using my trusty autofocus 35 Sony lens, right? Now it's just a tiny little lens, but it's one of my favorite, f1.8, so it's a very low aperture. You can get a nice bokeh, and the autofocus, well, as we know with the Sony, sticks on the face, it works well. And it works well in low light settings. And I love the 35. It's one of the best lenses you can get. 35, 50, low f-stop, nice bokeh. Now, let me show you what it might look like with a 16mm and why might we choose the 35 over the 16 or something different. So I'm going to give you a few examples now. And this is the Sigma 16mm lens. Right now, I think I've got it on an f-stop of f1.4. Now, so that's going to bring in a lot of light. But what you can also tell is everything is much wider. Now, is this always a good thing? I mean, maybe I didn't want to show you the other sides of my room. Maybe I wanted to focus on what I'm showing you right now. And this can be very important, especially when you're trying to do one of these vlog videos and you don't want people to give the impression that like you're at home. Or maybe you want to give the people the impression that your space is a little more professional looking than it really is. Because I've got a lot of gear. Anyway, so look, you will get a wide angle lens, but another thing you're going to notice is the image is going to start to look different. And I'll show you this in a couple of examples that I found online. But let me switch to another lens now. I'm going to go even wider, and I'm going to go a 10mm lens. And look, that's more used for real estate photography, but let's get into it. Okay, so this is a Samyang 10mm f2.8. It's a manual lens, but as you can see, well, you can see my bed over here. You can see everything. Now, yeah, I'm not a huge particular fan of this lens just because I don't get many uses for it. But as I said, it purely depends on what you're using it for. If you are a real estate photographer, I'm sure you'll be using these all the time. If you want to make things look bigger, maybe you want to put like the camera in the cupboard and have one of those scenes where you're grabbing something out of it. So there are certain applications where you might use this lens, but in all honesty, like I bought it just off when I was going out looking at lenses and I was like, that looks cool, but in reality, I almost never use it. Something to think about when buying one of these lenses, like, do you really need something so wide? Most of the time you don't. The 16mm is more than enough, and I find the 10mm actually has a fish lens. The lens bulges out of the thing, which is annoying when you want to put on, well, you can't put filters over the lens. You need to have like a matte box with a filter on them. Just something to note. Okay, I'm going to go something a little wider now. Well, not wider, actually closer in, the 50mm. And I've got a few selections of these. So I'm going to try out this little baby. It's the TT Artisan. And that is I love this lens. You get really nice bokeh, and it's an f1.2. So it lets in a huge amount of light, but does give you a great bokeh. Okay, here we go. And how are we looking, guys? Hopefully this is in focus because this is actually the second take I've had to do with this. It's a pity because the first one I did really well. Now, and this is where you may or may not like the use of manual lenses, especially if you're doing it yourself and you don't have a camera with a flip screen. I mean, I do actually, right here, but for the sake of this video, I'm just using my old A6300. But as you can see, hopefully I'm in focus. Everything else is a little out of the subject, and you just get a really nice look. Now this is, as I said, one of my all-time favorite lenses. It's tiny, it's compact, and it gives you a beautiful bokeh. But let's just see if we got this right. And then if we did, we're gonna move on to a 58mm. So it's going to be a little more zoomed in, but this is an f2, that's an f1.2. So that lets in a lot of light and gives everything a nice blurry background. Okay, and to the final lens, the Helios 442. I keep saying 422, but that's because like a bitrate thing. I'm sure you filmmakers will understand, maybe you don't. Anyway, okay, 58mm. And this is a vintage lens. The one I'm using is a cinema conversion. So it's got the de-clicked aperture. But anyway, I've done a whole video about that lens, which you can watch online. The point is to show you the focal length and the aperture. And so right now I've got it wide open at f2. And yeah, 58mm. As you can see, very nice and close up. You do get a nice bokeh. Everything has a special look about it. So I hope you've learned a bit about focal lengths today, why you might choose one lens over the other. And so just so you know, the camera hasn't moved. The only thing I've changed are the lenses, and that's it. So until next time, guys, keep watching and keep learning.